Are you afraid of your dreams? The fear that sabotages you from going further. How many times have I caught myself dreaming about something? How many times have I given up on dreaming and believing in something that was at least possible to achieve? I'm not just referring to material dreams, but dreams of becoming a better person, of overcoming my fears, of conquering my weaknesses that prevent me from taking the next step, overcoming the fear of getting out of bed, opening the window, looking at the world inside me. How many times has this happened to you? Feeling afraid of the person I am, or worse, the person I could become. Seeking and experiencing dreams is something so complex, and at the same time so profound. Well, I don't even know what term to use. The right word escapes me at this moment, but I think you understand where I'm going with this. Dreams can be magnificent, but they only make sense when we understand our current life and what we need to change or do to pursue that voice that shouts loudly and wants to silence our emptiness. The fear of our own dreams is a fascinating paradox of the human condition. We ardently desire something, visualize success, but at the moment of action, an internal mechanism pulls us back to our comfort zone. This duality was explored by Carl Jung when he spoke about the shadow, that part of us containing our deepest fears, and that, ironically, also holds our greatest potential. Stop for a moment and reflect. When was the last time you felt that impulse to accomplish something important, but immediately found logical reasons to postpone it? Have you ever stopped to think about why we fear success more than failure? It seems illogical, but Aristotle already said that fear is the expectation of pain. A study published in 2019 in the Journal of Experimental Psychology demonstrated that 78% of participants experienced significantly elevated levels of anxiety precisely when they were close to achieving their stated goals. Here's a practical exercise. Write down 3 achievements you deeply desire, and next to each one, write what new responsibility or identity change each would require of you. Philosopher Kierkegaard called this the anxiety of freedom. The more freedom and possibilities we have, the greater anxiety we feel. Researchers at Harvard University, in a 2020 longitudinal study, discovered that this anxiety has a neurological basis. When confronted with multiple positive choices, activity in the prefrontal cortex increases dramatically, creating cognitive overload similar to what we experience in dangerous situations. So, how to apply this to your life today? The next time you feel this paralysis in the face of a good opportunity, breathe deeply for 90 seconds, the time it takes for the initial cortisol discharge to decrease. Modern neuroscience explains this phenomenon through the amygdala, our fear processing center. It doesn't distinguish between real physical threats and the existential fears associated with change and personal growth. Using brain imaging techniques, Stanford University scientists identified in 2021 that visualizing success activates the same neural threat circuits that would be activated when facing a predator. Try this desensitization technique. Spend 5 minutes daily visualizing your success, consciously noting the physical sensations of fear that arise, without judging or resisting them. This self-sabotage mechanism has deep roots in our childhood. As Carl Rogers observed, we develop a discrepancy between our ideal self and our real self. A simple test to measure this discrepancy in your own life. On a scale of 1 to 10, how distant do you feel from the person you know you could be? If your answer was 7 or more, you're probably experiencing what psychologists call self-incongruence, a significant source of anxiety when we approach our goals. It's fascinating how many people report having premonitory dreams of failure right on the eve of great opportunities. A 2022 meta-analysis published in Sleep Medicine Reviews examined this phenomenon, discovering that 65% of adults experience an increase in anxious dreams before important milestones in their careers or relationship. These aren't real premonitions, but manifestations of our subconscious processing anxieties. Practical tool. Keep a dream journal for 2 weeks and observe patterns that might reveal subconscious fears about your aspirations. What few also discuss is the phenomenon psychologists call imposter syndrome, that inner voice that whispers, "You don't deserve this," or "Soon they'll discover you're a fraud." Research from Columbia University shows that about 70% of people will experience this feeling at some point in their lives. Here's the question you need to ask yourself. If you don't feel qualified for your dream, who do you imagine would be? Does this person really exist, or is it an idealized figure impossible to achieve? The fear of success is also closely linked to what anthropologists call fear of tribal excommunication. Recent studies in social neuroscience demonstrate that the pain of social rejection activates the same brain regions as physical pain. To apply this knowledge, do this social inventory exercise. List the 5 people closest to you and honestly assess how each would react to your greatest success. You might be surprised to discover that your fear of rejection is more projected than based on actual reactions. Plato, in his allegory of the cave, perfectly illustrates this dilemma. The prisoner who breaks free and sees the true light faces not only the discomfort of the new reality, but also the resistance of those who remain in the cave. A 2020 study on occupational group dynamics corroborates this ancient philosophical intuition, showing that individuals who advance quickly in their careers often face what researchers call horizontal resistance from their peers. Ask yourself, how much of your fear of moving forward is based on the potential discomfort your growth will cause in others? Nietzsche offers us a particularly powerful perspective through the concept of will to power. Neuroscientists at Cambridge University recently mapped what happens in the brain during moments of self-sabotage, discovering a fascinating neural connection between reward centers and behavioral inhibition centers. Practical experiment. Identify a small step toward your dream that you can accomplish in less than 5 minutes. Perform it immediately after feeling fear, creating a new neural association between discomfort and action. Interestingly, different cultures interpret the fear of dreams in distinct ways. In Eastern tradition, particularly in Taoism, there exists the concept of wu-wei, effortless action. Cross-cultural studies in psychology published in 2021 indicate that societies with strong Confucian or Taoist influence show significantly lower rates of anxiety related to personal achievement. Adaptable technique. Practice 10 minutes daily of meditation, focused not on emptying the mind, but on non-judgmental observation of your fears, treating them as passing clouds rather than solid realities. What few realize is that this fear of dreams frequently manifests as procrastination. A study from the Association for Psychological Science revealed that tasks with high personal significance are postponed with 60% greater frequency than routine tasks of equal complexity. Ask yourself honestly, what have you been constantly postponing that, if accomplished, could significantly transform your life? Now, divide that task into 5 steps so small that it would be ridiculous not to perform them. This is the technique known as micro-commitments, with an 85% success rate in clinical studies. Overcoming this fear doesn't come from completely eliminating it, an impossible and perhaps undesirable goal, but from the ability to act despite it. Viktor Frankl, Holocaust survivor and founder of logotherapy, demonstrated in his studies that people with a strong sense of purpose show 40% more resilience in the face of adversity. Transformative exercise. Write a letter from your future self, the one who has already achieved your dreams, to your current self, describing how the journey was worth it and thanking you for not giving up today. To transcend this sabotaging fear, we need to understand that it isn't an enemy, but a teacher. Neuroscientists at New York University developed the concept of productive anxiety, a state where moderate levels of stress improve performance and creativity. Their 2022 studies demonstrated that individuals trained to reinterpret anxiety symptoms as signs of preparation consistently outperformed control groups in creative tasks and problem solving. Reflect deeply. How would your life be if you interpreted your fear not as a signal to retreat, but as confirmation that you're on the right path? A scientifically proven approach to advance despite fear is what behavioral psychologists call gradual exposure. A 2023 mega-study analyzing more than 50 research studies on overcoming fears revealed that this technique has an efficacy rate above 70% in various conditions. Implement this today. Create a fear ladder with 5 steps, starting with a small action that causes minimal anxiety and progressing to your final goal. Commit to climbing 1 step per week, regardless of how you feel. The question isn't, are you ready? But are you willing? If this video touched something deep inside you, don't keep this experience just for yourself. Share it with someone you know is struggling with their own fears sometimes. A simple message can be the push someone needs to take the next step. Leave your like so this content reaches more people, and share in the comments what your biggest insight was today or which practical technique you'll try first. And if you're not yet part of our community, hit that subscribe button and activate the bell to receive notifications about upcoming philosophical and psychological deep dives. Remember, the algorithm loves engagement, so your comment makes all the difference.